Is what's your ideal sexual fantasy? Tie me up, put my panties in my mouth. Oh boy, come do whatever you want to me because I'm tied up. So there's nothing I can do about it.
What a rotten way to die.
Hello and welcome back to Wish for Death Island. It's been a while. I almost feel like I've forgotten how to speak, but things happen sometimes, and remember, YouTube is still just a thing that I do when I'm bored kind of thing, so it's not really top priority. Besides, I haven't really felt like there was anything that warranted a video as much. There's been a lot of trash in the world, but I'm kind of selective of the trash sometimes of what I talk about. I've also just been spending some time on my shop channel making animations because they're funny. I'm using one of them right now. I'm really proud of this one.
But I need to eat first.
And hand rub, but she wants to eat first.
I wasn't actually planning on making a video for a while because there wasn't really anything going on. And then I stumble across some things about a person. If you don't know who Amberlynn Reid is and you haven't seen previous videos that I've done or any other videos that anyone's done on her before, she's basically this, she's like Boogie but for women, where she's this woman who started out saying that she was going to do a weight loss journey and make like videos about her life, and then people started noticing that she kept lying about what she was doing and gaining weight, and then being like, I don't know why I'm gaining weight, and then doing these big mukbang videos where she would eat like 700 things, and then all of her girlfriends were divided into like drama seasons, like a TV show, and they all came out and at least sort of implied that maybe she allegedly would hit them and do horrible things to them, and it became this whole thing where people would just follow what she was doing. Now, I obviously am interested in it. I'm somewhat of an Amberlynn Reid historian myself.
Maybe you should try getting a job.
With her, because the drama stuff is like in between boring things, because she's a boring person and the drama just kind of happens by her existing and what she does to other people. So like once a year, I'll go back to see what Amber's doing and what people are saying and all the reaction channels are saying about her. I'll just find out a bunch of nonsense and then I'll feel the need to make fun of it in a video, and then I'll go back to not watching anything about her, and then I'll go and find her again the next year and feel like, oh, I totally forgot about this. But what made me want to do a video this time is that she had found a feeder for a couple months and almost died from it. And you're probably like, oh my god, what an awful person laughing at someone almost dying. But this woman is irredeemable. Stuff that I'll get into that I need to cover to catch you up. She abandoned her cat in the middle of like a Wisconsin winter and just left her there in another state when she was visiting her feeder girlfriend. Trivialized the death of the feeder's previous girlfriend who actually died because of the feeding. There was also resurfaced videos of her making an uncomfortable underage girl talk about lesbian sex positions. I mean, come on. Look, if you're just there to see what I'm talking about, I gave you the recap at the start of the video so you don't need to watch the whole thing. But if you want the details because it's funny, then I got you.
I need to constantly keep my body fueled. I forget to eat during the day. So I'm actually going to set my alarm every 2 hours to eat.
So we're going to start in January 2024, do a yearly recap, get to the feeder stuff, and then, I don't know, die, I guess. In January 2024, Amber gets really into the H3HC podcasts. She keeps going on about it as if they'll see it and then invite her onto it.
On my Astro Boy while watching H3 podcast.
I don't really care, Margaret.
It's one of those things that she's done with a lot of products that she uses as well. It's like, you know, those influencers who you can tell desperately want to get sponsored by something, so they'll basically be overly positive about it as if they're trying really hard to kiss their ass in the hopes of being like, I'll shill for you if you give me products, which I see a lot with unethical influencers these days because these companies do actually feed into it. There's this cosmetics brand called Tarte, and they had some foundation thing, I think, where they were giving people these luxury brand bracelets as a gift in the sponsorship PR package, and that's basically a bribe because you'll get people who will try and kiss the company's ass and shill for them without being sponsored in the hopes that the company will see this and sponsor them because they want that bracelet or they want the iPad or whatever it is in there. Companies shouldn't be able to do that. If they give someone a gift in the PR package, it should be something really small that doesn't count as bribery essentially, but I don't know, I think it's unregulated at this point. Because it's just so unethical and out of control. You know, Amber's does this with elf cosmetics in these videos anyway, in this cycle, where she suddenly started bringing them up and saying that she loves their face serum or whatever it is, she loves their eyeliner, she loves everything about them, she swears by them, as if she wants them to see her and give her PR. And one, it's Amber. Considering her reputation, I don't think that a company would want to sponsor her, and if they did, they would probably lose money. There's nothing wrong on the face of it for wanting to get a PR package. I think that that's probably a thing that, you know, if you're like a makeup influencer and you get a PR package, it probably feels really good. It's free stuff. Everyone wants free stuff. It's just the unethical waste that goes along with it, you know? But the consumerist thing is a huge part of Amber. It's part of why people don't like her, but it's also the part of like the circus car crash type of mentality that people have, where they have to see what nonsense she is wasting her money on and then putting into the trash to end up in the landfill and destroy the environment. Like, okay, take her fridge. This is an example. This is something that also happened in January, where she showed her empty fridge. She always does this for every single cycle that she goes through.
I'm trying to like find the notes for you guys, so I'm like a professional like perfume trier tester honor person, but I'm not, so I can't find the notes.
The next day, Amber gives us a tour of her fridge, and there's nothing in there, which says she's ordering takeout again.
I put a whole bag of jelly beans up my ass.
Like this attitude that she has, where she's like, look guys, I eat so little that I don't even have any food in my fridge right now, when I don't know how that's supposed to make her look good when she eats takeout multiple times in the same videos that she shows her empty fridge. And it's like, obviously you're not gonna buy food if you're constantly eating the food that comes from the fast food joint. You're not gonna make any at home because you're not eating anything at home. The only thing that you eat at home is stuff that you've bought from fast food places. You're not cooking. Then like she says that she went to go get some more fast food, and then she stocks her fridge at the same time, so she's eating the same amount of fast food like 5 times a day, and then she also eats everything in her fridge. You know how in TV shows when there's like the one black character and people are like, it's the token black character, she buys fruits and veggies and it's like, this is the token produce. Like it's just there for the sake of it and to make her look good, and she doesn't actually want it there. You can tell that they treat the token black character like badly, and they don't give him any good scenes, and they just forget about him because they don't actually want him there. They want people to think that they're good for like putting a black character in there. It's like the same thing where she's like, look, I love fresh produce, I love fresh veggies and fruits, when you know the only fruit that she's been around in the past 10 years is Eric and Ricky. She also had some New Year's resolutions. She wanted to publish a poetry book, didn't happen. I hope that the poetry book will include the slam poem that she wrote accusing her ex-partner Casey of rape when she was allegedly the one who abused them, and then she deleted the video and admitted that it was a false accusation. I love that one. She wanted to lose 100 pounds, which she always wants to lose, and she didn't do that. For reference, I think that her starting weight like 10 years ago when she first started her channel was like 350 or something, 360, and she's basically been stuck at like 500 to 600, and she just bounces between those two weights since then. She's never dipped. I think the only time that she dipped below is like when she gets to like 490 and she gets really excited and then she eats and then she stops doing it again. Side note, she always does this thing where she shares her outfit by like showing her butt shelf. She's like, I'm gonna do a try on for you guys, and then instead of like spinning around or posing or something, she just flashes the butt shelf. She pretends that it didn't flashbang and jump scare her audience. I don't want to see that. Is that for feeders? Is that your feeder content? Reminder as well, she's 34 now. I just wanted to let you know, this woman is in her mid-30s. Sometimes when she's doing things and she's like, oh, I'm doing a taste test, and then she like shovels food into her mouth and makes weird noises and acts like she's never had food before, when she buys useless shit to fill the landfill and destroy the environment, when all of this stuff, it's like she's a teenager, right? And sometimes I think people forget that this is a woman in her mid-30s. A lot of I think her friends and stuff are all in their 30s. They all act like teenagers. I know that some people, especially lately, if you're young, if you're in like your 20s or something, if you feel like you're behind in life, if you're maybe in your 20s or something like I am, and you know the economy is really bad, getting a job is really bad because all the companies say that they're hiring and they don't accept anyone because of the job ad is like fake, and then it's really hard, the cost of living is terrible, your wage is probably not as good as it used to be, you just feel like you're not in the place that your parents were when they were your age. I get that it feels really hard. I know that it's hard, and I know that sometimes you blame yourself. I just want to say, you could be worse. You could be Amber. Amber is in her mid-30s. You're not doing as bad as her. You're doing okay. Alright?
I'm starving. I haven't eaten since 4.
I don't really care, Margaret.
Anyways, the recurring characters for both 2024 and so far in 2025 are Grandma and Mama Lynn, her mom. So this is Amber's birth mother, who was an addict at the time, and then Amber had gone to foster parents, and then she's now reconnecting because her mom is like clearing herself up. She's like doing a sober thing, you know. Also, another thing that I'll say with that, I feel like people, because they hate Amber and because Amber is a bad person, people tend to try and twist every single thing as if it's somehow Amber's fault, and I understand that most of the time it is Amber's fault, don't get me wrong, but I've genuinely seen posts where when Amber was recounting stuff that she's been through because of her mom being an addict when she was a toddler, so Amber being like 3 years old, people would generally try and act like, what if Amber was the one, as a 3-year-old, who was orchestrating all of these events and purposefully injuring herself to blame it on her mother? And it's like, this is a 3-year-old you're talking about. Bad people can have bad things happen to them. Some of the reason why they're bad people is because they purposefully chose not to grow and heal themselves after going through traumas. That's why it's not an excuse that you've been through something when you act like a piece of shit, because there are loads of people who have been through horrible things who grow as wonderful people, but bad people can still go through bad things. When something bad happens, sometimes, or most of the time even, it's probably Amber's fault, but sometimes it isn't. And there's a difference between documenting that and then kind of losing yourself and making fanfiction about it. Like, I get that you don't like Amber, I don't like her either, but sometimes you just have to be honest about something. Sometimes this world is chaotic and sometimes bad things happen, right? Sometimes people, like, in every single group of people on the internet, there's always going to be a little bit of people who are completely insane, and I get that, but just, you know. Another thing that Amber has always done, but it got worse last year and this year, is that when she eats food, she makes these weird noises and then she, like, eye fucks herself in the camera. Do you notice that she does this?
So full. Smells really good.
When she eats, she looks at herself and then her eyes roll back in her head because she's like a self-feeder. She's like in love with herself eating food. The thing about Amber and the unfortunate situations, let me like expand on what I mean. So she said that she spent New Year's alone having takeout, and I would feel bad if it was someone else. A lot of the time when stuff happens to Amber, I'm like, if it was someone else then I would understand it, but because it's her, I don't really care. And you can have that opinion, you can be like, well, it's Amber, so she kind of gets what she gets, and then also have the nuance of sometimes bad things happen and I'm not gonna blame her for the stuff that she went through as a child, right? Just keep the nuance. Like, if it was someone else who was spending New Year's alone, I would be like, okay, maybe they've been through a lot of stuff, maybe they have a toxic family that they are trying to deal with, maybe they're like had to work because the economy's not good and all of that kind of stuff, and I wouldn't think that it's a reflection on their character. I would just think, oh, bad things have happened to them in their lives and I feel sorry for them. But with Amber, it's like, no, I know exactly why you're alone. She also said that she broke a no contact rule by messaging someone that she had been broken up with, and they were the ones who set the no contact rule.
I don't know what it is, but I've been thinking so much of my ex lately, and it just like reminded me of her. And I broke no contact, by the way. Yeah, it happened. So the last time I actually messaged her was November 1st, and I told myself, don't do it again. But January 2nd, after like a couple weeks of just like literally I can't stop thinking about her, like I hope she's okay.
So I don't really think that you can paint it as you breaking no contact for yourself if someone else is the person, if the other person is the one who is like, I'm going no contact with you, and then you decide that the no contact is over. I don't think it works like that. Because she didn't get a reply. She's done this a couple times with that person and she hasn't gotten a reply, but she still tries to spin it as like, I did this no contact rule myself and then I tried to break it. And it's like, no, someone else went no contact with you. You can't decide when they are ready to change. Twinkie, also her dog, has been overweight a couple times. Sometimes it looks like Twinkie's getting better, but unfortunately it seems like Twinkie is just getting worse. Like, she already started looking very fat. You can hear that her nails aren't being cut, and Amber had said that there was something growing in her mouth that the vet had apparently said not to take care of, and I don't know, I don't believe that. Oh yeah, the iconic moment where she thought that Stevie Wonder wasn't actually blind.
This is just fun conspiracies, okay? So the last one is I thoroughly believe that Stevie Wonder is not blind.
There's also a lot of Amber fatigue. I think that's the reason why I only check in with her once a year, even though I find it entertaining. Because during this January period, she did actually start trying to lose weight, and she did actually lose a little bit. But because she's always lost a tiny bit and then gained it back immediately, people didn't give a shit. In the past, you might have seen people saying, she's doing it, guys, she's losing weight, but nowadays people are like, oh, you're doing this again, are you? Because she never continues. And she did actually gain it back. She also does this another teenager type of thing where she goes to the shops and films herself touching everything and doesn't really do anything else. For a YouTuber, you know, can you YouTube a little better? She also talks about unchristian things. Like when she's alone and single, she talks about it because she like, there's this thing where she says, I'm gonna do a Q&A, and then she'll not show the questions on screen. So that means that she can write questions herself and she doesn't have to show someone asking that question because she doesn't need to show proof that someone asked it. And she'll ask herself sex questions and she'll be like, what's your sexual fantasy? What do you want in a sexual... And like, I don't want to know that, firstly. Secondly, she also does this because it's her way to get back into people's good graces. Like, she'll have a question that she'll pretend someone has asked her about a childhood trauma that she's been through or a moral value that she carries, and then she'll start talking about it. It's a way to be like, well, I am a good person, guys. I am actually a really good person. Because people were asking me if I'm a good person. It's like, no. Like, an example is she said that she thinks that nudes should only be shared if you really know the person and it's very special. But when Casey gave an interview, they said that Amber, as a 17-year-old, had pressured them as a 15-year-old into sending nudes.
So honestly, that is something that I low-key do. But I only do it if I'm really connected with someone, we're really into each other, I trust them, and they have to like ask for it because I'm sorry, but unsolicited, no. But if you two are vibing and they're like, hey, you want to send over like a titty pic? You have to be really special because I don't just be sending those out to anybody.
A spicy picture. She was asking me about this for a couple weeks. And I was like, I'm not comfortable. And I was 15. Again, I was 15, 17. But, she said, if you don't do that, I'm going to be mad. I'm going to break up with you. I don't want to lose the only person who's actually attracted to me.
And that Casey felt very cornered because it was like, Amber's the only person I have in my life. I can't lose Amber. And it's like, okay. And this was before they even moved in, I'm pretty sure, according to the interview. So it's like the stuff that she says, she can't even keep it on track. She also made a video complaining about how her previous girlfriend has another YouTube channel and is like reacting to certain Amberlynn stuff and talking about the experience with Amber. And Amber says the phrase, share what you think is your truth.
What I'm gonna do is, how do you feel about Becky talking about you again? So honestly, I find it a little weird, only because she was the one who initially said, keep my name out your mouth or the law is gonna get involved. And then I think it was a few months later, I brought up the law just to remind her that that was initially what she wanted. It was my way of agreeing, but like now she's talking about me. I don't know. Share your story, share your truth. Share what you think is your truth.
I have always hated the phrase your truth or my truth because it's like, it's just the truth. What do you mean? What do you mean you're But saying share what you think is your truth is genuinely one of the most manipulative phrases that I've ever heard in my life. When I do these things, I feel like if someone's involved with Amber, you want to do your best to detach yourself from the situation afterwards, especially if you've been treated really badly, which is what basically every girlfriend has alleged that Amber has done to them. So when she brings up other girlfriends, unless they're also a bad person, then I don't really have sympathy for them, but other than that, I want to kind of keep them out of it, even if they have their own channels, because it's like, you kind of just want to do your own thing. You can talk about Amber when you want to talk about Amber, but I don't want to drag you into it. I'll just leave it at focusing on what Amber has said, and then you have the power to draw yourself in and out of the situation as you see fit, because I don't, that's the thing that a lot of drama channels do, where they focus on the people around the other person, even though those people want to leave, they don't want to be associated with it anymore. And I understand partially because of context, I think you kind of have to in a way, but you don't have to all the time. So when I mention a girlfriend, I'll name them if I have to, if they're like involved and they're also shady or something, sure. But the past ones, I'll try and keep it minimal, because I don't want to keep them in it when they don't really want to be. Out of respect for them, as much as I can anyway.
Please, I don't have any time for any gossip now. Eh? Yes. Look at you.
The big theme for 2024 was mood swings. Amber had a bunch of mood swings, and for her, it's depression, it's deep depression, but the kind of deeper depression that posting a TikTok fishing for compliments can easily solve, because that's exactly what happened this time.
I am genuinely feeling a million times better. I actually just posted a couple TikToks, and one of them I duetted Tammy Slayton.
She also got upset because someone in public took a picture of her at a laundromat when she didn't know and posted it online.
Someone sent me a picture of someone seeing me at the laundromat and like taking a picture and posting it online. I love when you guys come up to me and want to take a picture with me. You guys are always like literally so amazing, but it's always the people who take a photo of me without coming up to me. Those are the ones that are always like the haters, I think.
This is another one of those, you know, if it happened to someone else, I would have cared a bit more moments, because by itself, I agree that this is not really good behavior. If you're a vlogger, you don't suddenly lose the ability to be upset that your privacy has been broken. Just because when you post vlogs, you're filming specific things, but you still have a private life, and when you're outside, someone else taking a picture of you and like creeping on you is definitely still immoral. It just reflects badly on the person who decided that that was an okay thing to do, and I don't really agree with that. However, with Amber filmed one of her previous girlfriends on the toilet and showing her bare body without permission, and a lot of her girlfriends were very not comfortable with being on camera, but Amber would sort of ambush them with the camera, and they couldn't really do anything about it because of the manipulative power dynamic that apparently happened in the relationships. And we've seen them uncomfortable on camera previously as well, so like it's just kind of interesting seeing her talk about privacy when it affects her, but she will breach someone else's privacy in a heartbeat. There's another example of this later on where Amber had gone out with her mom to go to bingo, and she started talking about childhood memories with her mom on camera. She kept looking at the camera like she was trying to set her mom up somehow, and at first it was just like wholesome stuff like, oh, do you remember we had a fish or a bird or whatever, and stuff like that. And then out of nowhere she was like, remember when I got third-degree burns because you burned me? And it was like, oh jeez. Maybe you want to talk about that outside of vlog. Maybe you don't want to talk about that on camera. Because it's like, I understand that she went through trauma. I agree, she probably did. Like I said, bad people go through bad things too. And I don't want to take that away from her or trivialize it. But why are you trivializing it? Why are you using it as a weapon on camera to get revenge on people who aren't perfect, but they look like they're trying to heal and make it up to you? That just seems like such a childish thing to do, and I don't know why you're involving your audience in this. But after that point, when someone had posted a picture of her online, someone had actually come up to her and tried to film her butt and got really, really close to her.
Is someone walking insanely close to me, like an inch away from me, filming my butt. I feel very unsafe when I see that.
I don't care if it's Amber that you're doing this to, it's not a good thing to do. It doesn't reflect on you in a good moral way. It reflects very poorly and creepily on the person who decided to do it. If it was anyone else, it would be condemned, but because it happened to Amber, I feel like some people are excusing it. Listen, I understand that she has filmed her girlfriends and it's really shitty, but I also want to say that I can condemn the person who did it, because we should not be encouraging people to just go up and film someone's butt in public, you know what I mean? I think it's like with Christian. Christian's a very bad person, but some of the trolls in the past were also genuinely bad people because of what they thought was acceptable to do to someone else. I think that that's a very easy thing to follow. I think it's nuanced, but I don't think that nuance should be hard to follow. I think that it makes sense. I'm just gonna leave it there. She also decided to start doing ASMR and sexual close-ups of her food. Her thumbnails have always been this phallic kind of thing where she would eye fuck herself, and you know, it's not really a new thing, but it definitely got worse. Her noises would also get worse, and she would do these really uncomfortable close-ups. It just feels really, really creepy. There's just, with me, I hate like people noises in ASMR. I know that ASMR is like any noise, so like rain noises or fireplace noises or something, those are nice, but anything that involves a human like making noises, like mouth noises, I can't handle it. It makes me feel like there's somebody trying to kill me or something. So I can't imagine how people in the audience are feeling who like routinely listen to this. But from this point on to where we currently are in current year, her mum is basically driving her everywhere. She hangs out with her mum and her grandma's friend, and that's basically all of her friends, I think. Her mum is trying. I think she comes across as someone who is very sweet and trying her best to make up for the things that she's done in the past being an addict, but she also enables Amber quite a bit with Amber's own food addiction, which I think is just not okay. Because every time they hang out, they're getting food together. But after the negative picture that was posted online, Amber decided to tell a series of lies. Of every single vlog, there would be multiple people who came up to her, recognized her, loved her videos, and thought she was attractive. Not only that, but there would be a lot of men that would supposedly come up to her and say that they wanted to cook her food, and she's so beautiful, and she's like, they love big girls and all this sort of stuff, and it's never happened before in any of her videos.
The waiter at the restaurant we went to, he ended up just like talking to us, and turns out like he's gay and his family wasn't accepting, and we like bonded over just like being gay, and it was like this whole moment, and like my mom and my grandma were like obsessed with him, and I don't know, he was just like an amazing waiter. Like we had such a good experience. Like he told us like his whole life story, and I don't know, it was just super cute. Like I love that I have such supportive family when it comes to like me being gay and stuff. I don't know, I just can't imagine like it being any other way. So the waiter really took a liking to my mom and to my grandma and to me, obviously, because we're both gay. But I don't know, it was just super cute. He kept coming back and like telling us more of his story, and I don't know, it was just so fun. Okay, so currently at the Walmart, I had to get more melatonin. I also needed to get some birthday wrapping paper, some of these keto caramel almond clusters, so good. But someone just complimented my outfit, and I just thought it was like the sweetest thing. I'm like, okay. The lady who actually did my mammogram, she was probably in her late 20s, and she was just so sweet. And as I was leaving, she was like, I don't want to make this awkward, and I'm definitely not hitting on you, but you are really beautiful. And I don't know, it like made my day, because she was just like, you have such a pretty face. And I don't know, things like that like mean a lot to me when I'm feeling kind of shitty about myself. Like I was having anxiety because I was like, oh my god, is there something wrong with my breast? And my boobs are all up in her face. Like it was just a whole thing. So it definitely like just made me feel a lot better. She said that as I was walking out, and I don't know.
And people obviously don't believe this. Even if you don't know who Amber is and you're watching this video anyway, you don't believe this, do you? There was this one where one of her other friends who lived in another state came up to where she lives, and when she had posted that, she had also simultaneously posted a video of her being recognized by someone off camera who was like, oh my god, I love your videos. And it's like, that was one of your friends posing as a fan, wasn't it?
Are you Amberlynn Reid?
I am.
I love you. Oh my god.
I'm actually filming right now. Oh my gosh, how are you?
I'm alright. I love your videos. You're so funny. What are you doing right out here?
I live here now.
You live here?
I do.
It's good to see you. Hope you have a good day.
Oh, thank you. You too.
Also, if they're apparently your fan and know all about you, then why didn't they know that you live in the location that you do now? Why are they asking you why you live here now? I don't know what the obsession with men is. If you don't know, Amber is a lesbian. I think that's pretty clear with talking about her girlfriends, but I don't think she's ever talked about being attracted to men before. But it seems like in the year of 2024, All of her stories revolved around what men thought of her. She got her palm read, and she said that in her past life she was a siren with multiple husbands. And like men want to touch her, and men want to cook her dinner, and men want to feed her food. I don't know what the obsession is with men when you've clearly never shown any interest about that before, and I don't think you need to. Like, what's wrong with being a lesbian? Why do you have to feel like you need validation from the opposite gender when you're not even attracted to them anyway? Who cares what they think about you? But she talks about the butt video again, which again, I condemn. I don't like it. I don't like that this happened to anyone. But she claims that this is like a feminist issue and men are the problem. You abuse your girlfriends. I'm pretty sure you were the problem. She also claims that she doesn't believe in the fat acceptance movement, and she has never believed in it, but she also then says she did believe in it once, and then the doctors were the ones who perpetuated it and told her that her health was perfect, and that's why she did believe it, even though she's never believed in it.
I have never been part of health at every size because I don't believe that. Doctors would tell me, you know, yeah, everything's perfect, like your blood results perfect, like you're healthy, you're just overweight. Like, I would hear those things constantly. So it fed into my delulu.
We then get to the Valentine saga. Valentine was an anonymous girlfriend and had decided to stick to a nickname instead of revealing who she was. So there was a previous girlfriend who also had her nickname, and her nickname was Wifey. And the reason why Amber does this is because whenever she shows her girlfriends on camera, the girlfriends always instantly get doxxed by the audience. Now again, I'm not going to encourage people to dox people, but it's just a fact of the matter that that's what happens. So she started to give people nicknames and not show them on camera. This person, apparently, even though they hadn't met in person, she was already in love with them, and they had spent $400 USD dollars on a Lego gift for Amber, even though they hadn't met each other in person yet. Someone she doesn't even know spends that much money on her in person. To this day, I don't know if that was just her spending Lego money on herself and then claiming it was someone else, or if this person was genuinely that delusional, because we'll talk about who this person was. People found out who they were. They are pretty delusional, but I still don't know how I feel about this. Somebody in the comments needs to explain this shit to me, if there's like an answer on whether or not the Lego was bought by who. Because I don't know. But on top of that, if she did spend that money on herself for Lego, it makes it even worse that she follows this up by spending more money on one of those hauls that she does, where she buys cheap junk in an attempt to make her apartment resemble a dollar store on the Rainbow Road. Oh yeah, she also pooped herself.
Can you elaborate?
She also kept addressing conspiracy theories where she claims that people make shit up about her and claims that it comes out of nowhere. The reason why people do that is because you cultivate that kind of environment by lying constantly. She also decided that this was the year that she was going to get ahead of the memes. She was like calling herself a dainty queen and the queen of whatever. It's not really the same. When people get ahead of the memes, it's because the memes are kind of made from a place of endearment, and it's like, I don't think it works this way. She also has another imaginary encounter with some random man at the shops who said that they wanted her to be the girlfriend that they'll cook for and they really love her. In the month of February specifically, it's not lost on me that February is Valentine's Day month. She specifically said that men found her attractive. Again, you're a lesbian. Why do you feel like you need men's validation? If you're not attracted to them, they don't have to think a certain way about you. You don't need to give a shit about them. They don't matter to you. They're not in your life. They wouldn't be in your life anyway, so why do you care what they have to think about you? She bought pre-packaged, individually wrapped boiled eggs as well. I have never seen this before. Holy plastic consumption. I went to the Woolies in my area to see if we have those, and we don't have those. Is this an American thing? I have never seen pre-boiled, pre-packaged, individually wrapped eggs in my entire life. So she and her mom have been going to bingo nights. She goes, I think, every week. She claims that she's too shy to yell at bingo with her mom and says that this is like, oh, look at me, I'm so quirky and shy, hee hee. What she constantly shouts in public when she's on camera, and the confidence that you have to talk to an invisible person off camera, pretend that you're having an interaction with someone when you're not, that takes a lot of balls. And then one of the other days afterwards, not too long afterwards, she claimed that multiple subscribers had all come to meet her at the same place in the same day.
that I actually went to, which I loved. And by the way, the vet was a subscriber. Hello, if you're watching. And they didn't actually tell me until after everything was said and done, which I thought was like very professional.
Then she decided to do that thing where she denies being over 600 pounds at her highest when she absolutely was over 600 pounds at her highest. The reason why people believe this is because at one point she had leaked her MyFitnessPal account and people had found it and followed it and found out that her weigh-in on that app was like 630 or something at the highest. Also, her brand of scale, which again people found, only went up to 550 pounds. That means that when she would weigh herself, if she was higher than that, she could claim that she wasn't because the scale was simply not able to record it. And considering not only the size that she has been in the past, but also the size that she got up to when the feeder gets involved later, there is no way that it's under 550. But she brings it up every year because we can tell it's a point of shame to her, and instead of doing something about it, she decides to do more fake Q&A questions to make her look good in her videos. I know she watches every video that's made on her. I don't know if she'll watch this one and get that far into it. If she does, if you want people to stop saying that you faked your Q&A videos, post the screenshots of the people asking the questions. And I know you've done that before and all of the questions seem to come from the same person, so whatever other account that you're using, it can't all come from one person. Show the usernames and show that they're all different people. Then I'll believe that the questions are real. It's kind of like how multi-level marketing pyramid scheme people say to make a fake account and then post comments on your own social media posts to ask yourself questions about the product so that you can create artificial interest in the product. It's actually quite insane how much she overlaps with the pyramid scheme people. I can't remember when I made that video about multi-level marketing. I think it was like, maybe it was a year ago now or something, but if you either watch that one or you go watch one of those reaction channels that does stuff about multi-level marketing, you will see that the resemblance is absolutely uncanny. In March of 2024, she weighed in at 499 pounds. She hadn't gone down more the entire week and said that she had still done well, even though at her size, even a tiny bit of exercise and a tiny bit of diet being cut out would be extremely easy because of the ratio that your body is at when you do these things. Someone who is, I think she's like 5'2" or 5'3", I can't remember. Let's say 5'2". Someone at 5'2" who weighs the weight that they should will have a much harder time burning a big amount of calories. Someone who is her size at her height burn calories extremely fast because of the excess. So both people could do the same exercise. One of them could burn like 500 calories, the other one could burn 100 calories. Maybe even less. I'm not sure what the ratio is exactly, but at her weight, it would be extremely easy to fluctuate a whole lot. Having 1 pound lost and then immediately gaining back shows you that there's something wrong. Another thing that she does is she gets really excited when her mom gives her stuff, like too excited. I get appreciating everything you get and practicing gratitude, even the small stuff, it's still good. I'm grateful when I'm given things, when a friend buys me a drink or something, it's still just like, and I want to do the same thing for them because you like to, you know, that's kind of what a good relationship is. But Amber, it's like manic. And I don't mean that in like a mental health kind of way because I don't want to... Her diagnosis thing is another controversy. I mean that in like the descriptive way. It just feels manic to me.
Let me go get it. Guys, isn't this the cutest thing? And it lights up. It's a LED neon wall art. And listen, my mom was like, this is just like your lip purse. And I said, yes, it is. Literally such a cute gift. And she was so worried. She's like, I'm not sure if this is your aesthetic. I don't know if you're gonna like it. I just felt like you had to have it. I was like, Mom, I am obsessed with this. Are you joking? So my grandma was like, where do you think you're gonna hang it? And I was like, probably my bathroom. I don't know why, but it just feels like it would be really cute in there. And my grandma goes, you should hang it over the bed. My grandma is literally so fun. It's like the cutest thing I've ever seen. And the fact that my mom surprised me with matching ones that she got my grandma based on the fact that I just thought they were so cute. Literally just like, it made me want to cry.
She then also, with the fake Q&A, she did another one where she claimed that everyone was asking her when she was going to go on the H3H3 podcast. I don't think anyone is asking you that question. I'm waiting for the fake Q&A where she gets obsessed with a brand and she tries to get sponsored by them, and then she'll be like, all of you guys in the comments are constantly asking me when I'll get sponsored by this brand, and it's like, I would love to. So it's like, no one's asking you that, motherfucker. Her new obsession is also Billie Eilish. All I remember is like celebrity endorsements, and I hate it. But because everything that she owns and is obsessed with is something that makes up for her personality. She brings them up in like every single video because it's like, that's my personality this year, guys. I'm a fan of a thing.
What's your relationship with your dad like? I actively do not have a relationship with him, and I haven't had one in a very, very long time.
We know. She also uses these fake Q&As as an excuse to talk about sexual fantasies. She goes really in depth with them. I'm not comfortable when she talks about that in a general sense, but she's gotten way too comfortable talking about that stuff on camera. Especially with this stupid like don't kink shame type of culture cultivated on TikTok especially. If you put that shit in public and people don't want to hear it, but you make them hear it, like, then I am going to judge you and I am going to shame you for that. You should keep that shit to yourself. Do what you want. I don't care. It's not like I have the power to tell you what you should and shouldn't do. But it's like those women who pretend to be dogs at the park. I am kink shaming you because those people at the park did not consent to witnessing your fetish. If you put that shit out there, people are gonna shame you for it because that's just the way it is, alright? If you post feeder content online, if you look like you're sucking dick in all of your thumbnails, I'm shaming you for that. Keep that shit to yourself. Another thing that she has always done, but she decided to bring back in 2024 and 2025, was hating on reaction channels, but then also claiming that she loves reaction channels. I don't know what the deal is with that, man. You're not getting ahead of the meme.
I don't really care, Mark.
I put a whole bag of jelly beans up my ass.
Why you boring me? I'm right.
So for a while, the whole Valentine thing had still been a mystery. People know that they were dating and Amber was in love, but Amber would always revel in the secrecy of it. She would post these TikToks where she was doing these dances to audio about the singer being the other woman. So it was like she was reveling in this weird rumor that she was helping someone cheat on their spouse or something. It was very unhealthy. But the way that Valentine's identity was revealed was actually kind of funny. So people had this theory that Valentine was the feeder. Valentine was someone else, because she had broken up with Valentine and then started dating a new person by the codename Tommy, and people had found out that Tommy was a feeder. And they were like, is Tommy this Valentine's person? And you had just broken up with her on camera, but you were still with her the whole time. And because of that rumor, Amber revealed the truth to try and get ahead of the rumors. So for once, she actually did come clean about something. The answer is very strange. Basically, these two chuckle fucks named Brittany and Erica, they're married. They claimed that they wanted to troll Amber, let her pick gay ops by having Erica pretend to be her girlfriend and be attracted to her, and then Erica claims that she accidentally ended up falling in love because Amber has irresistible manipulation charm, and then the gay op became too gay and they had to get out of there, and Erica was actually trying to cheat on Brittany because she fell in love with Amber. This is what happens when you do gay ops. Now, the thing is, I don't believe this for a sec, because I've seen the interviews. When I was making this video, I was like, no, this doesn't sound right. This sounds too Christian to make sense to me. I don't get it. So I watched the interviews that Erica and Brittany had done. They lie several times throughout their videos. They are just as bad as Amber. Everyone involved in the Valentine's arc sucks. Everyone besides the reaction channels are terrible people in this arc.
Didn't share anything else besides the fact that she was married. Brittany and Erica said that they messaged me as a troll in the beginning. So Brittany is supposed to be a therapist. They knew who I was. They knew that I had BPD. It's just wrong. Like, what kind of a therapist would do that to someone?
It was not ever disclosed that I was in an open marriage.
And I was like, what should I tell her? And Brittany was like, tell her that, like, we aren't, like, technically together, but we're, like, by law still married. So I gave her that story.
You know, she said
she made a comment. She made a comment to me. I said, if my wife finds out, she will sue you.
Sue her for what?
No, I told her that if...
I genuinely believe through my view of the evidence, and it's kind of hard to figure this out because everyone is lying, but it seems to me that Erica was the type of person who did cheat on her wife often, or maybe she was just the type that would have done it eventually, and she decided to genuinely start cheating with Amber because she found Amber actually attractive. And then Brittany, seeing this, desperately wanted to damage control because she felt humiliated and decided to come up with the troll story. And then they're like, but it went too far because we weren't expecting to fall in love with her when, I'm telling you, gay ops, not even once. But everyone in this arc was a shitty person, and that made it one of the most entertaining ones, because usually I feel bad for the girlfriend. I'm like, oh, you don't deserve to be here, you're being manipulated, you're being abused, you need to go somewhere and heal and have a healthy relationship, you don't deserve this. And then in this one I'm like, wow, you guys suck. But I don't have sympathy for Amber, because Amber revels in the idea of being the other woman. She also was milking it for drama to make herself look better. Everyone in this situation is shit. Afterwards, she started using Ozempic again, and this thing called semaglutide. She always does this thing where she would take things that help other people, but she is like the outlier that it doesn't help. Like, by a miracle, she breathes air that is calorically dense, and it becomes the fat that's in her body. It's not because she eats 700 million calories a day. And, you know, I have an issue with Ozempic. I think that people using it they overdo it. They're not learning the lifestyle, so it's not a maintainable thing, and it makes them look like skeletons. It makes them look, I think there's some sort of medical issue there. I don't like it in general. I don't think that it's a good idea to go on it or to encourage people to do so. She also, when she started dating this Tommy person who we now knew was different from Valentine, she would post these breakdown videos with feeder titles like forcing myself to eat for 12 minutes, which also double up as a humble brag and as well as the feederism, because she was like, I'm forcing myself to eat because I never get hungry. Me being fat is a total mystery.
All of this just works.
Around June was when she said that she kind of officially announced the relationship with this person called Tommy. Now, the thing about Amber is she doesn't like being single. She says that she does, but she doesn't. She always needs someone because she is in love with the feeling of being in love and having control over someone. It's a love of validation, because she herself is a walking red flag. She ignores other red flags like love bombing because it feeds her narcissism. At first, people just kind of rolled their eyes and said, oh, here's another one, but things started to get weird. Amber was using way more feederism mannerisms than before. Her content was becoming weirdly sexual with the noises and the other things that it was always there in the background, but it seemed like it was overbearing at times. She was also FaceTiming Tommy when she was eating and was making sure that she got a good shot of the food entering her mouth and looked at the camera while she did so. She also went off the weight loss medications and started to look bigger over the course of the year. Genuinely, the before and after meeting this person is absolutely astonishing to watch. Now, if you don't know what a feeder is, essentially, it's this type of fetish where someone is in love with the idea of a person continuously gaining weight by either being force-fed or being coerced into eating food to the point where they become bedbound. Once they're bedbound, the fetish continues to see how far this person can grow before they inevitably die. There are lots of feeder documentaries, and especially nowadays because of the internet, feeders actually have a huge industry where all of these mukbangers will post themselves eating all of this food because they're doing it as a sort of custom porn video for the feeder. It's essentially, in my opinion, a legal way to be a serial killer. Because you feed someone or you encourage their feeding, you monetarily encourage their feeding, and then once they have a heart attack because of the obesity that is directly caused by your actions, you move on to someone else and do the whole thing again. And as far as I'm concerned, there isn't really a way to legislate that without making some sort of really vague law that would be weaponized by other people and not end up with any sort of justice happening to the feeder who killed someone. Another example is this one person that I remember seeing on TikTok. She started out kind of in shape, but then she would do these speed eating videos, and then someone managed to find one of her DMs on one of her social media accounts where she had set it up so that people could, for payment, request her to eat certain foods. So it was clearly a feeder thing. She was making money off of the feeder thing. But you can see her gaining weight over the course. If you just look through her thumbnails, you could see her gaining weight because of what the content was doing. And then that in turn attracted more feeders, and then the feeders would request her to eat certain foods so that they could get off to it while she was getting even bigger. It's a whole industry. It's a death industry. And that's the reason why when people say don't kink shame, I'm not listening to you, because there are so many fetishes in this world that are death fetishes. It's people who get off on something that directly contributes to someone dying, and then the death itself may even be part of the fetish, and then they just move on to kill someone else. The way people found out that this person was a feeder and what their real name was because she showed her girlfriend's face on their channel and the person got doxxed instantly. I told you. Tommy went by the name Emily, and they were also present on some fetish sites, going by the name Les Eat, among others. I don't really know how people found her presence on these fetish websites. I don't like the idea of her feeder audience who uses these websites looking her up and then sharing her with the reaction community, but I fear that that actually might be the case. Her previous girlfriend named Colleen had passed away because of how huge she had gotten, directly because of Emily's feeding habits. During the funeral, which there is footage of, Emily got up and spoke of the love story between them, something that she would actually directly copy and paste out of her eulogy onto Amber's social media post.
It's a type of love that you don't know until you actually feel it when you experience.
This is genuinely psychotic behavior. The love bombing she used came directly from the corpse of her previous relationship. A lot of people, Amber and actually a lot of people in the comments, call Colleen the ex, and I find that kind of disrespectful. She is not the ex. The ex implies that she just got up and left the relationship. She died. Her death shouldn't be trivialized by this phrase. I'm just gonna call her Colleen for the sake of it because I don't like the agency that the term the ex gives her when she was killed by this fetish. There were also forums where these fat fetishists talk about their relationship and possibly monetizing it like an OnlyFans type of thing. It didn't seem like Colleen really wanted it. I mean, even if she acted like she did, I feel like the manipulation would make her look like she did. As a vulnerable person, she was bedbound whether she wanted to or not, and she couldn't do anything else. Not only that, but Colleen had died 2 months before Amber was contacted by Emily, at least in terms of Amber's timeline. It was clear that Emily didn't even need to grieve. She was already messaging multiple feeder victims that she could potentially use, and Amber was the one that she decided to settle on because she saw an easy target. Feeders have been known to do this. They don't love the person, they love what they can do to the person. They talk about the size of the person and how big can I grow this woman. It's disgusting. It's dehumanizing. When the well dries up, and by that I mean they die, the feeder moves on. That's why Amber started gaining weight. Whether Amber knew about the fetish accounts or not, she seemed very defensive. On one hand, it's humiliating when you're proven wrong or a victim of something. People often cope and double down in delusion because they think that it salvages their personal image after the humiliation of being outed as a victim. A key part of PTSD, and I think a way that you can tell if someone's faking it or not, is the shame that comes with it. Being a victim of something and getting PTSD gives you a dirty feeling about yourself, a deep shame that makes you want to hide yourself. You look in the mirror and you see a disgusting person. You see it as if it was your fault, as if you let it happen. Even someone like Amber can feel this, I think. After a while, people wondered if maybe she chose a feeder on purpose. Amber had always eye-fucked the camera when she ate. It seems like she is excited about the idea of food entering her own mouth as well. And yes, that's a symptom of food addiction, but it gets to such a point where it genuinely becomes like a weird fetish. Amber comes across like a self-feeder, and maybe she wasn't ashamed of being a victim, she was just defensive at being caught with a mutual fetish between her and her girlfriend. Her entire channel has been her acting like she's losing weight and she just can't, but now it's like she's been exposed for wanting to gain it because of the high that it gives her, and she's into it. She has no plans to lose weight, and that exposes her on a level that I think makes her angry that people know now. Deep down, I do believe that Amber doesn't want to die. I don't think that she would. I think she loves herself too much for that. She knows that obesity is shortening her lifespan. I'm sure she does. But the addiction and the fetish is so strong that it just takes over, and it sells her this lie that it's all going to be okay and it's worth it somehow. I don't know what would convince her otherwise. In any case, Amber does what she does best and went on damage control. She made a video claiming that she would never date a feeder and Emily wanted her to lose weight. She also said that Emily only made those fetish videos with Colleen because of money and purely because of money.
No, she is not a feeder. People think that she's a feeder and she's definitely not that. Like, yes, she has a specific type, but I'm letting you guys know that, like, every single person that I've been in a relationship with, everyone that you guys have known, they said that they prefer girls my size. That is a thing that all of my partners have had in common. I think that I don't know if I would ever actually be in a relationship with someone who didn't prefer bigger girls, because it's like,
somehow she really thought that the idea of Emily making someone eat massive amounts of food to the point of death wasn't actually as bad as long as it was just for money and not for an emotional attachment. But this enraged people for two reasons. One, of course, in every online group there are a minority of crazy people. Some do want Amber to be harmed, but most of them genuinely don't want to wish her death. They're just along for the ride. They're just watching her. They're just tired of their empathy going to someone who weaponizes it. It's fatigue. She knows people are worried she'll die, but she doesn't give a shit, and she weaponizes this empathy and tries to make people feel guilty because they're criticizing her, because she lumps in criticism with hate. Here, she's weaponizing people's worry again, and it's worse because so many people saw her with a killer, allegedly, and got scared for her life, and apparently it's your fault for feeling that way. And secondly, she's confirming that thing I said before. Whether she intended or not, she confirmed that she doesn't want to lose weight, and she loves food so much that she'll walk into the arms of someone who has a death count and not give a shit. After this, she decided to make a video where she faked breaking up with Emily, while Emily was clearly sitting off camera. Amber even mistakenly gestures to Emily and then just leaves it in the video because she's stupid.
You guys don't know the full story at all, and I think that's like the hardest part of this whole thing is like there is a big part of this story missing, but I'm never going to sit there and talk about other people's personal things because that's not me, that's not who I am.
You are stupid. Yes, I know, that's insulting, but it's also the truth.
Me and now my ex, we are not together anymore, and this has left her like debilitated.
Firstly, she doesn't show this much skin usually, but since meeting Emily she started wearing no bras and showing way too much skin. In this video, she's fake crying while wearing something revealing with no bra, constantly looking off into the mystery person sitting on the other side, and she is smiling because of Jupa's delight. Naturally, no one fell for this. So eventually she got drunk on a stream and admitted that she was still seeing Emily. Emily then started showing up in vlogs and social media again because the jig was up. Amber went to stay with her for 3 months, taking her cat Rarity with her. People were fatigued and they decided that Emily and Amber were both in their evil little thing together and that they deserve each other. Amber kept doing feeder content and even made a fetish video of her naked eating a cookie, and Emily sold it on feeder websites. Yes, I have seen it. No, I didn't want to. No, I'm not going to show it to you because I don't think you want to either. Now, I don't know how people managed to find these. Again, I hope that it wasn't someone who already uses a feeder website and watches Amber for sexual gratification finding the video and then sending it to people, but I fear that that might be the case. But somehow it got leaked from the small monetized little community to the general public. Some people started wondering if Amber did leak it herself because of the attention that she got from it. When I've heard tales of people getting revenge porn and stuff leaked, they always look very distraught. They look like their life is over, and I understand why they would feel that way. But Amber seemed very giddy. She constantly smiled about it. She brought it up all the time because it made her look quirky and gave her attention. And then she claimed in the same sentence that it was Erica who released with the video without her permission, and then Amber was also the one who released it as revenge porn or something.
Okay, it's not really a sex tape. You guys remember the whole cookie crumble crumble cookie extravaganza with Erica, who some of you might know as Valentine. During that time, we never met in person, so we had to get creative. And in doing so, we found ways to have a sexual relationship long distance. Their dessert was a crumble cookie crumble. And then I also showed it to one of my friends, Alexis, hello. Her and I went through a whole situation type deal. We don't have to like dive into that because we have so moved past it. But during that era, she decided to let everyone know, I've seen the cookie crumble cookie video. This cookie crumble cookie crumble cookie. Oh, but I know who it is. I am not stupid. So I'm bad with timelines, but I would say maybe a few weeks ago, there was a body shot photo, 2 of them, I think, that was floating around of me, and a reaction channel or someone on Instagram, I forget, they were like, this was sent to me anonymously. I hope maybe I can find the photo. If I do, I'll post it here. But these photos were taken by my mom in front of a Mexican restaurant specifically for Erica.
Anyway, while this was happening, it started to resurface that there were old videos of Amber talking to a 15-year-old girl named Libby about very inappropriate things.
There is scissoring, which I'm sure you guys know what that is. There, you can finger, rub the clitoris. She's gonna explain. Okay, what is tribbing?
Openly describing scissoring, oral, fingering, and the like. This was all openly on her channel until people began digging it up again and Amber deleted it. To address it, she claimed that Libby was simply mature for a teenager. She had simply grown up for her age. She wasn't like the other teenagers. Raise your hand in the audience if you've heard that exact same line from To Catch a Predator. Amber does act a lot like a teenager. She still dresses like one and she buys tacky teenager shit. She has the vocabulary of one. She reads a lot of young adult novels and she just generally seems like one to me. But remember, she's in her mid-30s. It's clear that her mind is trapped in a teenage mindset, so I think she justifies herself in talking to minors because she sees herself as a minor still. There's no excuse for it, it's disgusting, and she has enough time and money to see a therapist for it and improve, but she won't. This is just the way it is. It's an explanation. She really thinks there's nothing wrong with it and she doesn't want to change. That's where the excuses come from. She thinks that it makes her interesting. It's like those Twitter accounts with the pronouns in bio and the flags and the self-diagnosed mental disorders. It's like, you really think that this makes you interesting, huh? Speaking of, one long-standing issue is that Amber claims that she has BPD. A lot of people believe that she doesn't. I personally, because I'm not a psychology person, I wouldn't know either way, so I'm not going to make a definitive statement of if she does or she doesn't. She probably has something. She claimed a BetterHelp therapist had diagnosed her with BPD, and I think that the BetterHelp claims that they don't do diagnosis, so she probably lied about that. Also, even if they did diagnose her, lots of professionals say that a quick online diagnosis is not ethical and it's not possible. I watched and read a lot of personal experiences with BPD just to try and get into this a bit more, and from what I've read, and people with BPD can explain if this is accurate to them, the thing that your psychologist tells you is that there is no BPD version of you. There's no like evil BPD doppelganger that takes over your body and does bad things. The BPD monster isn't like a separate personality in your body. It's just you, and it's your responsibility. And part of healing from BPD and managing it is that you have to deal with the fact that this is your responsibility, these are your actions, this is your behavior. You know what I mean? Her saying that this is the BPD version of me, that wasn't me, that was my BPD doppelganger, is not something that a therapist would endorse that you do. So if she is seeing a therapist and they're telling her all of these things, then they're a crackhead. Anyways, during this time, she was still at Emily's house. She opened a door, and she revealed, accidentally through the explanation of this, that she doesn't actually walk her dog, she just opens the door, the dog runs around and then comes back inside. But she did this, and she opened the door, and Rarity, the cat that she had taken with her, escaped out of the house and never came back. Remember, this is midwinter in Wisconsin, which I've been told is very cold. Rarity was not microchipped, she didn't have a collar, she didn't have anything, so she might have just been a stray, like to anyone looking that might have seen her running around. Instead of looking for her, Amber went home. She left her cat in another town in the middle of winter to die, or hopefully get taken in by another family, but I don't know. We'd never know, because she's not microchipped.
But 2 nights ago, and I put full blame on myself, because there's a yard, and that's where I let the dogs out to go to the bathroom, and it's through like a glass door, and I've just had a lot on my mind with everything that's been going on. And I'm not gonna lie, like, I've just been going through a lot, and I wasn't thinking, and I left the glass door open just like, I don't know, like this much. And I'm telling you, when I noticed, it was like 20 minutes later, but it literally just takes a second. And Rarity is like one of the most adventurous cats, the most loving.
She cried in a video for sympathy. Listen, like I said before, I think that bad things can happen to bad people, but this is direct negligence. And through her own actions, it seems like she is crying because of how it makes her look, rather than taking responsibility for the fact that she possibly killed her cat by abandoning her in another state. This is inexcusable. And she's shown by her actions, I mean afterwards, in every other video that she's made, up until the current video that she's probably just released on her channel by the time that my video goes live, she doesn't give a shit. She has no pictures of the cat, she barely brings up the cat, she doesn't even give a shit about the cat, probably doesn't remember the cat. She decorated the litter box once and didn't react at all to the fact that it's a remnant of her missing cat's existence. People who have had a pet die, who have lost a pet, you probably got triggered when you saw something that maybe you found an old toy that your pet had that you hadn't gotten rid of yet, and you find it and you burst into tears because that animal's no longer with you anymore. She didn't have that happen once. I'm so mad about this. You can't see me, but I'm making like the Italian hands while I'm talking right now. Okay, look, she has other animals. She has another cat called Wasabi, and she has Twinkie. One thing that I noticed, they don't really next to her at all. They don't really go up to her. This is just my personal experience, but when like my experience with animals, I don't have an animal right now, but just, you know, my experience and with when I go to stay with friends and family and they're animals, the animals will like follow you around quite often, don't they? At least in my experience. Not all the time, but they're curious. They want to see what you're up to. They want to get attention from you. They want to come and sit next to you and ask for head pats, and sometimes they just want to sleep next to you. They always exist around her. They're tolerant of her. I understand that some cats are very aloof, but I'm just saying in my personal experience and the experience of people that I know, the cats always, or the dog or whatever, they always like interact with you a little bit. They always come up to you and follow you or do something, right? I'd never seen that happen to her. At this point, while Amber is seeing this feeder, Emily, her best friend named Alexis came forward saying that she's not friends with Amber anymore, specifically because Amber was ignoring her concerns about the feeder and decided to keep going with it anyway and allowing the feeder to enable her habit. Alexis made a channel where she made a series of videos answering questions that she actually showed people asking the real questions. She didn't make the Q&A up because she showed people answering the questions. She basically confirms the stuff that we already know. Amber's a liar, and it was actually through one of these videos that the cookie video got leaked because she had said that she had seen it, and then people were like, what cookie video, what are you talking about? And then it ended up online. Unfortunately, after Emily breaking up with Amber, which is something that I'll talk about, Alexis is currently still friends with Amber. Despite saying all these things about her and seeing her in a new light and apparently breaking free of the manipulation, what the rest of us see, she decided to go back to Amber. These people are in their 30s, by the way. And it's especially tragic for me because I feel like people go back to manipulative friendships because they're lonely and they feel like they don't have any other option, but you have a bunch of people who would probably want to be friends with you, not just because of the Amber stuff, just in general. Like, people know who you are online, and when you made your videos on your channel, people supported you. People asked you questions, they wanted to get involved, they wanted to support your life, and I feel like you had so many other options where you could have made new friends, but you just decided to go back to Amber because you felt like, what, is Amber the only person that you feel like you deserve in life? But after Amber came back and updated about her cat being missing, it wasn't long before she had a real breakup with Emily, or at least something that I think is real. I think you can tell it's real because she was actually crying, she covered up a bit. Emily had blocked her and deleted her photos online. It just seemed real this time. Not only that, but Amber saw everyone as wanting to steal Emily away from her. If someone made a comment about Emily on her socials, Amber would say that they secretly wanted to fuck Emily because everyone loves Emily. The humor isn't lost on me that a feeder who will do anything to feed a fat girl, a feeder who is involved in someone's death, got so annoyed at their dream fetish girl that despite the fetish, they had to leave her behind because she was too annoying. Amber is prime feeder victim. She is sexually attracted to food and wants a feeder, but she is so annoying that they can't handle her. Another reason that the breakup was real, in my opinion, was because Amber started going back to the meds for her weight. She went on the semaglutide again. I don't know if she's off it, I think she is, but at the time she went back on it. When they broke up before, she hadn't gone back on it either, so that's why you could tell it was fake, right? But she did go back on it for a while and she'd actually try to lose some weight again. But what's really weird is how even throughout that, she went back to doing feeder content like way more than she did before. She didn't go back to the usual feeder content, she kept up the thing. Like in the current day, she's still doing the phallic like feeder thumbnail shit. So I think that she recognized that the feeder content is what gets her girlfriends because the feeders want to be with her. She's shopping for a new girlfriend by making feeder content. It's like, you know how a peacock is like showing off what they got when they're doing the mating dance? I think her feeder content is like her peacocking to people.
Literally just has veggies. They gave me 2 chips, although I asked for an apple, but that's okay. Oh, they gave me the wrong sandwich. Oh no.
Finally, it's been like an hour, but we get to January 2025. Amber makes a video saying that she didn't vote, but she wanted to explain why because everyone's been asking about who she would have voted for, meaning that no one asked and she decided that she wanted to talk about it anyway.
People are asking why I didn't vote this election, and it's because I was in a different state. I was in Wisconsin where I did not live. I was not able to get the absentee ballot, etc., etc. So it definitely sucks because this is the one time I really, really wanted to vote. It's my one vote that made Trump win, and it's my fault, folks. No, but for real, on a serious note, it definitely sucks that I wasn't able to vote. I was gonna vote for Kamala.
I don't really care, Margaret.
She has never talked about politics once in her entire life on her channel. She has never talked about voting in her entire life on her channel, but she decides to suddenly do it. I don't know why. Well, actually, I think I do, but I think the reason why she brought this up is she's doing that morality thing again, where she probably sees the audience that she's cultivated as being maybe particularly left-leaning, or like she wants to seem moral to a particular group of people, and the moral test is like who you voted for in this instance. So she was like, I would have voted for the person that you guys like. One of the pop stars that she likes endorsed Kamala Harris or something or other. So she probably saw that as part of the personality grift that she's on right now, to try and bring it up, because it's like one of the things that people who she acts like would say, so she has to emulate them. So I don't think it actually matters at all, and I think the reason that she brought it up is because she wanted to seem like she is a human.
You are stupid. Yes, I know, that's insulting, but it's also the truth.
Lastly, let's get to this month. There are actually some interesting things that happened this month that at the time that I upload this, there's probably a bunch of stuff that I didn't address, but I'll see you next year when I address that. Lately, Amber has gone off the meds again. She's off semaglutide, I think. She's also continuing her feeder energy with all of her posts, because she got it into her head that the feeders are the way to go now, because they're enablers, right from the jump. The only problem is that Emily probably knows a lot of feeders and shared her experience with Amber, so maybe those feeders want to watch from afar to get their fix, but they don't want to get involved with her because she's unbearable. They're probably smart enough to recognize that if they went onto Amber's channel, they would get doxxed as well. But unfortunately, I guarantee, I know for a fact that there will be a feeder desperate enough to get to her. I guarantee she'll find another one, and I'll tell you why. One of the videos that she did recently, a guy called Mr. Snowflake, he did the interview with Casey, and he's done a really good deep dive into her. On his second channel, he does reactions to her videos, and he managed to catch that she had started doing this Duper's Delight smile when she talks about like how she's single. So to me, it seems like maybe she has found another feeder.
And then I watched the live and I was like, nah, I don't think so. I don't think Emily's back. However, I think I just saw a nice bit of Duper's Delight. Duper's Delight.
But the merch is no longer a thing.
Watch. Enhance. Watch this cheeky
Versions that would be suitable for anybody. But the merch is no longer a thing because
I've changed my mind. I think Emily is back on the scene. One more time. Oh, that's totally changed me. She's such a bad liar.
I don't think that it's Emily. I think that Emily maybe decided that she never wants to see Amber again because Amber's unbearable, but someone else? I just feel like the Duper's Delight thing has been something that Amber has consistently done when she's hiding something, and I feel like I agree with him. I think that he caught something I didn't even notice, so I don't know. I feel like she got another feeder. You'll have to see my update next year when whatever happens. She also decided to do members live streams for the first time. Apparently only 20 people joined the first one and about half of them were reaction channels. She also, in her video announcing it, showed highlights of it on her channel publicly. Now, on the face of it, there's nothing wrong with this, because when you do something and it's like paid content, like a demo for a video game, you have to release some sort of free content so that people know what they want, they're missing. You know, like, oh, if you want more of this, you should check out the paid thing. That's normal. But according to the people who did actually watch the whole thing, this series of clips that she showed was the only interesting part. It defeats the purpose of getting people to join because they're just going to wait for the compilations. Amber's always been one of those people who's desperate to have some sort of unique thing about her. She'll eat something and then claim that she's never eaten it before, or people were calling her mop legs because pants go under her feet and then she just walks around with it catching all the dirt on the floor. She made a video claiming that she is super quirky because she always takes her pants off when she mops and she doesn't know why she does that, and it's just a super quirky thing about her, even though I've never seen her do that before. I think it's gotten worse again with stuff like TikTok. It's like this quirkification of life. Everything that you need to do has to have like a self-diagnosis. Like if you have a particular thing, you're like persnickety about something, it has to be because like, oh, my OCD and stuff like that. It's people don't do things anymore. They have to like brand themselves. They have to have a quirky brand that is unique to everyone else. And the self-diagnosed autism fakers on TikTok get mad when people who actually have autism point out stuff that harms people's perception of autism and the resources that people with autism have. It reminds me of those Tumblr days where the girls would post like black and white photos about their depression and glorify depression, when the reality is depression is actually very disgusting in some aspects because you feel gross about yourself, you don't really take care of yourself sometimes. There's very gross aspects to mental illness, and people tend to think that mentioning that is somehow bad. I think you can kind of tell when someone is faking something when they get mad at you for mentioning the gross aspects, because they're like, are you saying that I'm gross? And it's like, well, you claim that you had this mental illness. It's just, I think everyone that I've seen talk about it mentioned these gross things and you didn't, because they don't want the actual mental illness. Like, who actually wants to have a mental illness, right? They just want the social cred that they think that comes with it, and we kind of live in a world where there is a social cred that comes with it, and I hate that that's the case. I hope that we can fix that, but it's just the way that it is, at least on certain social media. But that's enough from me. I've probably missed out a bunch of crap, but like I said, these videos are like a once a year, maybe a couple times a year kind of thing where I recap the funny stuff that I see and then I just leave it and wait till more funny stuff accrues. If I hadn't mentioned latest thing that Amber did at the time of uploading this video, just put it in the comments or something, I'll probably see it. I don't know what the next topic of my next video is going to be or when I'm going to post it. Like I said, I'm going to be moving soon, so it's going to be a big thing. I've mainly just been making little animations on my shop channel. My shop is going to be open to like maybe mid-March, and then I have to close it to do some stuff. If you have a topic that you want me to cover, I guess I could look into it. But other than that, I'll see you when I see you.
Really makes you think.